Welcome to this bi-weekly insider edition of the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden, your host. Yeah, these are solo turns, kind of my chance to expound on a more detailed single subject or conduct an adventure in the outdoors, or in this case, we're going to be reflecting on regrets. Yeah, this started as a magazine idea that I thought was interesting, to say the least. You have them too, I'm sure, and I thought it would be a good exercise, well, good enough to share with you. If you've ever walked through the woods and wondered about, what if I had taken the road not taken? Or you were in the field and you wish you'd made a zig when you made a zag. Philosophically or literally. That's what we're talking about today. The things that, a look back. We're taking stock, if you will, here on this insider edition of the Upland Nation podcast, made possible by Cable Gangs Stakeout Systems. Yeah, that's CABLEGANGZ, cablegangs.com, sageandbreaker.com, where you'll enjoy savings in their annual Father's Day sale. And then our Fur Feathers Friends sweepstakes, where you can win a 4-pack of Pointer shotguns. We have a faint and distant connection to the second Rat Pack, the one chaired by old Blue Eyes, Frank Sinatra. He sang a song long ago that opens with, "Regrets, I have a few." And then he starts rattling off all of his regrets. Well, I'm going to do a little bit of that, but I'm also going to share some other regrets from some other folks who I've corresponded with over the years. And I think out of all of this, we'll be learning something and maybe changing our ways as we look towards this hunting season. And that was the whole point. Reflecting back, could you narrow it down to just a few regrets? Well, wow. If so, good on you. But most of us have a whole bunch. And while I don't want to dwell on so many of them, if they're relevant for us in our hunting and our dog training career, then maybe they are worthwhile. If it reads, kind of like a life lesson for rookies, all the better. But if you and I have been playing the game for a few decades, it does still help us remember what's important. And that's my point today. So thanks in advance to all of the folks who have corresponded with me over the years, who shared some of their regrets as well as mine. Because out of all of this, we'll each learn something. There's no doubt. Let's start with a belief that I talk about learning the hard way a lot, and it's absolutely true. A regret today is a lesson for tomorrow. There is a time for Monday morning quarterbacking, and that's basically what a regret can be. Whether shooting, dog work, weather, terrain, strategy. Just like John Madden used to do, a post-game analysis is a good point once in a while. We got a long drive home or sitting around the campfire debriefing. Why not turn that into a learning experience? That's what we're going to talk about here. I promise some practical advice as well. And like I said, it's hard won, both from me and from all the other kind and generous fellow hunters who pitched in here. They're the kind of folks you'd be happy to share a field with, maybe a memory, or maybe you'd share one of your own tips with them, much like they've shared theirs with us in this podcast. Some of it won't be near as practical, but a little bit of that is helpful too. I'll start with a practical one so everybody kind of stays on task here. Remember, we're thinking about the future and next season. I wish I had saved up all my bottles and cans and bought a GPS collar the same day I brought my first puppy home. Yeah, it's a pretty penny. There are various price points. Maybe you start with a less expensive one. But the peace of mind of always knowing where your dog is worth that big glaring blot on your credit card statement. You know a lot about my good friend Dave from music school. Well, the first thing I told him to buy when he brought home his first pointing dog puppy was a GPS collar, and I think it's served him well so far. I'll let you know. We're meeting for opening weekend, and it'll be my chance to see Prez at a year and 7 months old this time. I learned that lesson long before, the first true actual emergency use I had when I turned my back on a pup who discovered that big herd of mule deer a couple 100 yards away from us at the truck and followed it across a state highway, across a county line, and deep into a cattle rancher's alfalfa field. Thankfully, I turned on the collar and the transmitter, and 45 minutes later, we got back to the truck where nobody was. They were already shooting birds. But happy ending. All right, less practical, but maybe just as important. We stand and look at our boots, ponder from the top of volcanoes, or solve the problems of the universe in the grouse woods. But do you ever mentally whisper, what is the meaning of life? Well, you have a lot better answers than me for that one. No doubt they've been formulated in consultation with your dog. So, let's dive in. I'll start. I discovered bird dogs and bird hunting late in life by accident. My wife wanted a dog to cuddle. She wanted a soft, petable dog. We got a wire hair. But when that wire hair pointed the first hen pheasant that he found in the field across from our place, I thought, okay, I better go buy a shotgun. Well, you know as well as I, it's become a lifestyle for me, maybe for you as well, a passion, a vocation, thanks in large part to TV networks and magazine editors. Do I regret starting so late in life? Oh, maybe. Can't say, but I am making up for lost time. And luckily, that woman who urged us to get a cuddable, cuddable, I like that word, cuddly, soft dog for her, well, she's put up with it. Thank you. Well, I missed everything that I shot at that first season. Okay, I did wing clip one rooster, and I had to crawl deep into a blackberry thicket to snag it. I wasn't going to let it go, that's for dang sure. But soon after that, it only took one whole season to convince me that I needed a shooting instruction. And thank you, Buzz Fawcett. One of my regrets is I didn't take that lesson before the season. Buzz would have pointed out my left eye dominance. For a right-handed shooter, that's pretty debilitating. Maybe a lesson would be in order for some of you as well. Well, the birds, that I brought back since are all the more valued, especially because when a bird hits the ground, my dog's holiday begins. I still miss more than I hit. I don't regret it near as much. And it does remind me that the birds I do hit are that much more special. You ever feel that way? Well, you know as well as I, when we consider those second thoughts, we also think. It could be prompted by the breeze, that whisper on a big sky prairie. See the grass bending just a little bit. Hopefully you're facing into the wind, and so's your dog. Or when you're just sitting back, maybe on the drive home, and you're scratching that magic spot behind your dog's ear. Here's our first contribution from Kurt. He says, my 14-year-old Drahthaar, that was his first dog, was never tested to the third level. That would be in the German testing system, as I thought it was never needed. I just wanted a hunting dog. But since then, I've tested 3 Drahthaars all the way through the third level VGP test. And what a difference it makes. Pass or fail, the bond created is incredible. Kurt, I can't agree more. The testing process should be all about teamwork. Sometimes you're the boss, sometimes the dog's instincts should come to the fore. You know, a single day test is just a kind of a fuzzy snapshot in time. But it's not because you can't hold the camera still. It's because so many variables enter into the picture. So focusing on the process instead of that one test day is a lesson that I've learned over the years, and perhaps everybody else who's been in that a testing system has also picked up. That's when your picture comes right into focus, razor sharp. Smile for the camera. Here's another great story from Brett. One afternoon, my son asked if he could come with me, and I said no. I was only thinking of the limited time and the little things that would make more work for me. I wasn't thinking about how much I love spending time with my kids and how much I love watching my dogs work. I regret losing sight of why I hunt and how important it is for me to share that with the people I love. Yeah, I know, Brett, 20/20 vision. It's often a gift bestowed in hindsight. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, you know the type, don't you? And we've all been there. All we do is think about shooting a bird, getting out, doing. We need to expand our peripheral vision just a little bit. Okay, for my dogs, beyond the sorry lack of training you see on TV, I regret not conditioning them for the challenges of hunting, especially in some of the places we go, those stark, dangerous places where wild chuckers flip you the bird, pardon the pun. I'm doing it now, and I did learn it several dogs ago. It's just easier said than done. More road work, and I mean lots of miles. A year-round regimen for taking care of their pads. Maybe even snake breaking. The only good news is, when I was a baseball player, I was a catcher most of the time. My knees will fail long before any of my dogs' oversized hearts or legs or lungs. Can you relate? Sometimes it's our heads that fail, not our creaky joints. On a rocky promontory last season, I was reminded by a friend how intense and focused we can become on mechanics. the strategy, how our guns are working, the e-collars and all the bells and whistles, those mapping apps and ballistics, even the chase, however you define that. I looked around and realized how ironic his comments were when I saw that we were sitting in a spot surrounded by wild roses. Should have smelled them. Maybe I would have shot better. Sometimes it's our heart that reminds us. Rick tells me, I had a girlfriend when I got a pup, a couple times, in fact. I needed to socialize the pup better from 8 to 12 weeks, but the girlfriend wanted too much attention. I know, I'm kind of living through that. No, not me. Vicariously living through that right now. Almost the very same scenario. And it's a tough one. If you've ever been in that situation, you know what I mean. Thanks, Rick, for sharing that heartfelt story. You and I, and perhaps somebody else listening, have probably learned that a dog doesn't complain about your salary. It won't force you to go through a holiday dinner with people you don't like. Jimmy Buffett has a great song. I don't think he wrote it, but he sings it a lot, or he did, about, I wish you'd love me like my dog loves me. And if you can look it up, read the lyrics. It's worth reading and listening to. Both sides of that transaction are precious. Your pup has very few days in its young life when it can bond and learn from you. Is that a regret? I guess it is. Sometimes we do need to reorder our priorities. I'm thinking about a former friend long ago, miss you, John, whose entire marriage fell apart thanks to his obsession with bird dogs. That may be going a little too far. I don't know if he regrets it or not, but there's room somewhere in the middle. I hope. I'm Scott Linden. This is the Insider Edition of the Upland Nation podcast, sharing our collective regrets, I guess, would be one way to describe it, and we'll have more of those. Don, you're next on the list coming up after this break. We are brought to you in part by CableGangs.com, C-A-B-L-E, gangs, G-A-N-G-Z.com. These guys, I've been using their, I can't call them tie-out stakes, stake-out system for quite a while now. Got it for Christmas and have really enjoyed it. That's how this all started. Let me remind you right off, if you're interested in their products, go to CableGangs.com. When you buy, type in the promo code CG10, CG10, get 10% off everything except gift cards. Heavy-duty, solid brass snaps, and the biggest and strongest of anything in the industry. And believe me, that stuff helps. If your dog's a puller, or if your hands just need a little bit of extra help, the bigger the snap, the better. All sorts of customization possibilities. I'm using primarily a single stake with a cable, no chains involved. Stake, cable, clip to the dog's collar. But the materials and the assembly are second to none. From better steels to better designs, learn more at CableGangs.com. And a couple quick reminders. The Father's Day sale is on at sageandbreaker.com. Save on bundles, firearms care, transport, and consumables from grease to lubrication, spray, all with a lifetime warranty. Go to sageandbreaker.com and then win that Pointer Shotgun 4-pack. Just tell me who you're going to take hunting for the first time. Go to furfeathersfriends.com. Now, you know what an earworm is. Welcome back, by the way. Scott Linden here. This is the Upland Nation podcast. You know what an earworm is? You know, it's when a song you just can't get a song out of your head. Well, that Sinatra song is still running through my head, and maybe that's a good thing. Here's Don's regret. I regret my dad not being able to go bird hunting with me more. Thanks for the nudge, Don. Never had the chance. If you have the chance, take advantage of it. For all we know, they are the person who got you started in this world, and maybe it's time to remind them of what an incredible service they did. Now, over the years and many careers, hey, that's the start of a song too. I've been accused of a lot of things, and most of them are true, including sharing hunting spots with close friends and abject strangers. I know some of you don't like that idea, but I rationalize it. I pay the balance on my account by doing small favors for others because they've done small favors for me. Maybe not the same people, but this whole idea of paying forward is critical, not just for our own emotional well-being, but for the good of the sport. Because if people don't continue hunting, whether they're lapsed hunters, new hunters, then there is no conservation. Now, I have regretted taking seriously I'll call it the bleating, B-L-E-A-T-I-N-G, like a sheep, from some of the so-called sportsmen who complain about that stuff. You might want to look inward and realize that somebody at some point did you a favor. I'm not telling you to put your favorite spot in headlines on page 1 of the local newspaper, but I am telling you, at some point in time, somebody you know deserves a little bit of help. We share everything from ammo to bourbon to hunting spots. Everyone was helped by someone. And if you say you weren't, you might want to look inward and backward. Yeah, young dogs figure regularly into our backward glances as well. Here are a couple lessons from some of you that are worth taking to heart. Jeremy says, I was pushing a 1-year-old setter too hard. She was given to me after my dad and 2 of my dogs all passed away within 3 months. Wow. I pretty much swore off life at that point. A friend called and said he had this little white setter. I said, nope, I'm done. Well, I ended up with her and then made her gun shy. With a lot of work and help, she's a good dog now. So the lesson in all of that, Jeremy says, is don't push a dog. Absolutely true. I remember my first wire hair and our first natural ability test. We had overtrained and overtrained and overtrained. I was getting lots of pushback. We got to the site a day early. Probably the most stunning setting for a natural ability test in the Alps of Oregon. Yeah, it looks like it came right out of The Sound of Music. All I could do was stand in awe and realize how beautiful it was, and that it was too late to do anything but have fun with my dog at that test. Perfect score, prize won. Good job, Bill. And then from Bailey, I regret not letting the puppy just be a puppy sometimes. Some of them go out ripping to go find birds. Others want and need that time to be frustrating or goofy or dumb. But if you let them have that time, sometimes it makes an amazing dog. Yeah, I agree. We all know because George Hickox, Ronnie Smith, and Rick Smith, and so many other pro trainers have convinced us that those first few weeks together are when so much learning takes place on behalf of the puppy. We got to do some things, but the dog's got to be a dog as well. Hey, I warned you, our thoughts about dogs, guns, and hunting often lead to the really important stuff. TD put it right. He says, I regret not accepting my station in life and enjoying each day rather than always believing that life could be better. Life is beautiful every day, which is real close to that old Ray Stevens song. Yeah, thanks, TD. It's absolutely true. And something to remember instead of regret. You know, what is it about the places we go that turns us into philosophers? Is it the vistas like that place where we tested? Is it that, I don't know how to describe it, the mental telepathy, the magical connection between a human and a canine? They say smell is the best sense for rekindling a memory. Does it happen when you open your barrels after a shot and get a whiff of that gun smoke? Well, Patrick knows it's all those and more. I wish I'd learned to enjoy the moments. My dad's last wood duck with a 6-month-old Drahthaar getting exposure. I've been blessed with so many things, but it's only as I age myself that I appreciate them for what they are. I can't read the rest. It's too sad. Another correspondent who shall remain nameless says, you'd have to ask my dog about regrets. After all, he chose me. My guess is if I'm heading out to go hunt, he couldn't care less about all the past mistakes. And I'm the greatest human he knows until I miss another easy bird that he found. Yeah, that's the bumper sticker. I wish I could be the dog, the human my dog thinks I am. So true. Someday, there it is. Someday I hope to become the person my dog thinks I am. I've learned the hard way how to bungle puppy socialization, water work. I've mangled friendships and ignored beauty on the way to what I thought was profit. And that's on top of every missed shot on slow going away birds in 26 different states. What you got to remember is there's no other time, place, person, dog, vista, or shot besides the one right in front of you right now. Yeah, I apologize. We are getting a little philosophical here, but that's the whole point. I want you to start considering, thinking about, possibly reevaluating some things as we look towards this season. And finally, let's celebrate. Abandon all of those regrets and savor whatever day it is. If you're doing a little training today, be in the moment. If it's right after a hunt, the dog is checked over and put up, watered and fed, might be a tailgate single malt. If it's just listening to the football game on the drive home, more power to you. Clink a soda can, grill up whatever you shot that day. Toast the four-footed hunters that enlivened our past. Reminisce about that long-gone mentor. Or think about places you've been that probably will never be the same. We pet our dogs and savor every point and flush. We pose for pictures, tell stories, and josh each other on the misses. And in that moment, there are no regrets, are there? We're just living. Well, there you go. Food for thought, if nothing else. Glad I was able to get that off my chest. Thank you all who contributed to this insider edition of the Upland Nation podcast. It was made possible by Cable Gangs, Stakeout Systems, SageandBreaker.com, Father's Day sale, and FurFeathersFriends.com, where you can win that Pointer 4-pack. Yeah, if you enjoy these, please tell a friend or leave a rating or a review at Apple Podcasts. I'm Scott Linden. Thanks again. See you down the road.